talk about what this countdown may look like 5-10 years from now. Certainly some different names on that list. So look into the crystal ball and give us and the viewers out there your vision for the top 5 goaltenders potentially of the future.
Yeah, I'm going to start with a guy that was an absolute superhero. He played in London in the OHL. He's from Michigan, and he starred for Team USA, winning the gold for Team USA in the World Junior Championships. Tyler Parsons. When I watch him play, I was just talking to Eej about this off camera. He reminds me a lot of Jonathan Quick. He's explosive, he's competitive, he's very dynamic in the net. His reads are outstanding. And listen, he got a little bit dinged up in the World Juniors. He had the opportunity to maybe come out of the net. No, it's my net. I want that net. He's in outstanding shape. Check him out on Instagram. I'm seeing a lot of workout pictures, and his coach in Michigan that he trains with, I'm seeing a lot of stuff about his workouts. A lot of people that I've spoke to in London and also in Calgary, who is drafted by, have nothing but great things to say about him, and he's turning pro this season. I think this is going to be one name that UNHL fans want to continue to keep your eyes on. I'm a huge fan of him. I love his game.
You said he had the snarl factor, too.
Yeah,
come on, bring it.
That's right. Give it to me. I want the puck. You want the puck. So I'm a big fan of his.
All right, Tyler Parsons at number 5. Number 4, who do you got?
UC Soros in Nashville. Got a little sample size from him last year. Something people don't remember is at times Pekka wasn't always on his A game last year, and he had a stretch where he struggled, and UC Soros came up big for the Nashville Predators. Diminutive by today's standards, but he plays big in the net. Excellent anticipation. He's a huge fan of Pekka Rinne's. He grew up idolizing him, and now they have the chance to play together. How about these numbers, though? Take a look at the save percentage, .923, and getting into only 21 games and still running those numbers. And when he came into the net in the Stanley Cup final, he didn't look overwhelmed by the situation, which says a lot to me about the confidence and the mental maturity of any goalie, let alone a young goalie. So I think as time goes on, he'll continue to take more and more starts so that they can rest Pekka a little bit. Nashville has their sights set on hoisting the cup there in Music City. And I think that a big part of that is UC Soros playing probably a few more games.
If you're a Preds fan, you're pretty happy with our countdown show right now.
Absolutely.
Pekka Rinne is at number 10, and
right?
UC Saros number 4 on our top 5 of the future. Saros at 4. Who's at number 3?
Anton Forsberg, who was just drafted, or rather traded to the Chicago Blackhawks. Speaking of drafted, I asked John Madden, who coaches in the American League for the Columbus Blue Jackets. He raved about Anton Forsberg, raved about him. So it was him and Korpisalo. Korpisalo was up with the big team behind Bobrovsky, but Forsberg is a really, really good goalie as well. He's going to get a glorious opportunity. How about those 3 seasons in the AHL? Those numbers look pretty sparkling to me. And of course, he was a part of that AHL Calder Cup championship team a couple years ago. But when you're in the American League or you're in the minors, you've got to at some point become dominant so that everybody sees you. And it's not only your team that drafts you that is watching you, it's all the other NHL teams that are watching as well. No better example than Forsberg, who shredded up the American League.
70 wins the last 3 years.
Incredible.
That's not a small sample size.
No, and it certainly wasn't for the Blackhawks. Stan Bowman in the Pro Scouts, they saw that, they identified that. He's going to get a nice opportunity to come in with Darling departing to go down to Carolina.
All right, Anton Forsberg checking in at number 3. Number 2, who do you got?
Antti Raanta. You know what? I remember talking to Antti Raanta the last year Chicago won the Stanley Cup. He's like, I can play in this league. I know I can play in this league. Well, hey, if you're here in Broadway, anywhere in the New York or tri-state area, and you were watching what he did for the Rangers the last couple seasons, he was money for the Rangers. And great behind Henrik Lundqvist. Could this be a Cam Talbot 2.0? Only time will tell. But I've got to give the Coyotes a lot of credit. John Chayka goes out and gets him. They bring him down along with Derek Stepan. And man, oh man, were his numbers incredible. There was a stretch where he didn't lose at home in Chicago and New York after he came to the Rangers. So just continues to get better and better, more reps. And this is a good sign for Finland because they have so many goalies, but it's nice to have another up-and-coming Finnish goalie, if you will. That's a goalie factory there in Finland.
Just churn them out.
Yeah, they've got goalie coaches since they're 6 years old.
My goodness.
6 years old. So they've done a great job developing goalies. Antti Raanta, I think, is going to thrive in the desert.
All right, and this is his shot at being a number 1 goaltender out there in Arizona, I should say. I wanted to say the desert. Number 1, let's go.
Vasilevsky. Tampa. Let's head down to Tampa. Hockey Bay, Vasilevsky. I really think this guy could be a superstar in the league. He's got size. He's got range. His work ethic is incredible. He works really closely with their goalie coach, Franz Jean, who's done a nice job there in Tampa with their goaltending group. And I got to tell you about Vasilevsky, guys. We talk about how hard Steven Stamkos works, which he does, and how fit he is, which he is. But Vasilevsky is arguably the hardest working guy in that group on a day-to-day basis since he was like 19 years old. Always one of the first guys at the rink, typically one of the last guys to leave the rink. He's a consummate professional. I don't see any ceiling for him. I think Steve Yzerman and the staff did a great job in drafting him. And there was some debate about whether they should go with other goalies or not within their organization, but just the talk around the draft, it looks to me like they got the right guy. I think Vasilevsky can be a stud. And as EJ would say, hey, this is going to be an interesting opportunity for him. Why? Ben Bishop is no longer there. You don't have the security blanket. But here's the one thing, James.
What do you got?
When Tampa and the Hawks were in the Cup final a few years back, he got pressed in to start a game, Vasilevsky did, in Chicago. And I remember talking to him back in Tampa at the practice rink in Brandon. He was so calm about it. I was more nervous than he was. And at that time, I was 38 years old. I'm like, oh, my goodness.
Right?
I would have been biting my fingernails down to the quick. Not this guy. He just rolled with it.
Calm, collected.
Cool, calm, collected.
It's the makeup of a number one goalie of the future, I guess, right?
This is it. No
All
doubt.
right. Coming in at number 10, and without him, Nashville probably doesn't make it as far as they did. Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Final. What do you like about Pekka Rinne's game?
A lot of things to like about his game. Of course, his size, but his athleticism. He's very nimble in the net. But don't take my word for it. Let's roll the tape here. Pekka Rinne, he shouldn't be this nimble on his feet. You know, those fans in Nashville absolutely love this guy, as they should. Helped get them into the Stanley Cup Final. Longest tenured member of the Nashville Predators. And now here's a little sample of his work. Very quick feet, nimble, good legs, active in the net, sometimes even very entertaining in the net. Outstanding glove, great lateral mobility, and never gives up on pucks. Uber competitive in the blue paint, but watch the footwork for a big guy. Gets in position, feet are quiet, tracking, able to see through and around screens. There he goes to his biggest asset, his glove hand, to make that glove save. Not to be outdone, watch him handle a puck. Little fake slapper, EJ, as you pointed out, reviewing his options, little reverse to the D. Little strong up the wall. This guy acts like a third defenseman. His ability to skate in the net, his patience when he goes to play the puck is very, very unique.
And he uses a different stick, right? You pointed that out. He's a little bit of a different stick.
Yeah, it's short. He's got a short stick. It looks almost like a tennis racket for him based on his height. But this is his bread and butter, his calling card, that glove. When that glove is cooking, typically he's on his game. And I can tell you, it's frustrating the shooters. He adds an active hand, and it's almost like a vacuum. And when it's on, it just sucks in pucks at an alarming rate.
I think I saw a catfish going.
There was a lot of things going in there.
That went in there.
Plenty of stuff going in there.
Absolutely. So there's my Pekka Rinne breakdown and why I love watching him so much. He was absolutely a beast at home, and as I mentioned, helped get them into the Stanley Cup Final and force a Game 6, eventually losing to the hand of the Pittsburgh Penguins. But a key franchise piece for them.
Remember that first round against the Chicago Blackhawks? They swept the Blackhawks. He allowed just 3 goals in the 4-game sweep, and I believe he had a couple of assists as well. So he was just doing it all in that series, and he took that forward as they ran to the Stanley Cup Final. I mean, the only hiccup he had were those couple of games in Pittsburgh where he had some struggles, but other than that, Pekka Rinne was lights out, and he almost took them all the way to a Stanley Cup victory.
Nine, a guy I know you like, Martin Jones. The comparison you always say to a Carey Price, that is high praise. Martin Jones at number 9.
Before we go to the tape, everybody looked at me like I had 6 heads with Marty Jones when I said he reminds me of Carey Price. Well, now, just let the tape tell the story. He's calm in the net. He plays with a similar tempo. Tall goalie, but he plays big. He plays to his size. And yes, he's very structured technically, but again, he's able to react to pucks when need be. He has good athleticism, and boy, has he blossomed since going to San Jose. They've been looking for a goalie since Evgeny Nabokov. They found their guy in Marty Jones. Ironically, not only did they steal him from the Kings, they stole him from Boston.
Yeah.
Because he went to Boston, if you recall, from the Kings to Boston in that trade. And then they ended up acquiring him. Great move by Doug Wilson and the pro scouts getting him. Guys, everybody loves playing in front of that guy. All the guys with the LA Kings that I spoke to love playing with and for him. Daryl Sutter had nothing but praise for him. So I give him a lot of credit for taking his game to new heights as a true number one.
Yeah, you know, and he does wear the same number as Carey Price. So there's another thing that he has in common with him. But, you know, the thing I like about him, to your point, he's very quiet in the net. He doesn't get, when he's at his best, he's not running outside the crease. He's not getting, you know, chasing pucks where they're not. He's in that blue paint, very structured. I can see, it's hard when you compare anybody to Carey Price, but I can see the comparison because of the fact, the size and the quietness of his game. And he's someone that's been a workhorse for them, too. I believe since he was acquired by San Jose, no goalie has played more games in this league as a regular season and playoff goaltender than Marty Jones. So in the last 2 seasons, so it's been a real nice run for him. Opportunity knocked.
Yes.
And he walked right through the door into the crease, and he is going to be there. Just signed a new contract. He's going to be in San Jose for many years to come.
For sure. Economy of movement, very fluid in the net, very smooth. And one last thing for a lot of you boys and girls out there, undrafted.
Speaking of former teammates, the King, a former teammate of yours, and this guy is as impressive on the ice as he is off of it.
Yeah, he definitely is. This is a complete package, and right from the outset, I was able to notice that drive, that inner fire that he has. And when I asked him if there's one trait, it's not the hair. It's not the shades. It's certainly not the suits.
The shades were nice.
They were nice.
They were nice.
And they're all nice. But guys, don't let that fool you. His ability to track pucks, watch his eyes and his head. He does an outstanding job of tracking the puck and reading the puck flight right off the stick of the shooters. Also, Jose Theodore, who I'm going to give a lot of props to, played bigger than his size. You're going to notice he has an upright torso. Henrik Lundqvist was able to incorporate this into his game. Watch, the shot threat is way out just inside the blue line. Stand tall, elongate your torso. Now, you present a bigger target to the shooters. You've got a nice active knee bend. You get down, you make a clean save. Watch him here. Shot threat way out at the point. Girardi in front of him, Pacioretty in front of him. Lundqvist standing tall. Now he's able to locate where that shot threat comes, makes a clean save, no rebound. Also, by doing that, you conserve energy. Look at where he is among all-time win leaders. He is the all-time win leader. I remember when he came in, I was like, Hank, sometimes you got to take it easy, man, because Dominik Hasek let in goals too. Yeah. So you got to just chill out. Well, little did I know, he goes on to eclipse Dominik Hasek for most wins by a European-born goaltender. So he certainly is, Eej, the complete package, and is destined to a ticket on the corner of Yonge and Front Street in Toronto that's known as the Hockey Hall of Fame.
Yeah, no question about it. And, you know, to your point, his drive is what has made him a great goaltender and what keeps him on our list. I mean, he is obviously not getting any younger. 35-year-old goaltender now in this league. It starts to get a little bit more difficult, but he finds a way through that desire, through that hard work, through that passion for this game just to keep stopping pucks. In that first-round series against the Montreal Canadiens, I thought he looked as good as I'd ever seen him. And now he's going to be rolling out the new pads.
Those are sick.
You're all over. I know you're all over.
Oh, those are
love
sick.
This stuff.
Oh, those are so sick. That I can't even believe what a great job they did with those. Those look amazing. The ones he's been wearing the last few years, yeah, they're nice-ish, but he's always been a big innovator with his gear. These ones, Eej, James, are at a whole different level.
I saw your response on Instagram, and it was just
gosh.
Emojis, the flames everywhere. It was like things were burning all over the place.
Seriously.
So I think you liked him.
Yes.
10th all-time in wins with 405.
Amazing.
He was very serviceable as well. 21 wins in that backup role, I guess, air quotes I would call it right there. But we mentioned getting the full-time job in Edmonton, and boy, was he impressive.
He was. I mean, I remember speaking to some people from Edmonton's organization, and I told them when they were inquiring about Cam Talbot, this is your guy, this is your guy. And now you great NHL fans can see exactly why. He plays a very calm game. You can add an L to his name. Sometimes I joke around and call him Calm Talbot. But what he's able to do is he's so strong mentally. He learns so much. He was the student under Lundqvist, the pupil. He learned so much from him and Benoit Allaire.
Benoit Allaire must be smiling at this segment, right?
Right? Like, think about it.
With these two goalies for many years, and also with Antti Raanta, who had a terrific year for the Rangers as well.
Yeah.
But, you know, Cam Talbot, the thing to me is, 73 games in the regular season.
Out west.
That is
7 more than any other goaltender.
That is quite a challenge to be able to do that night after night after night. We talk a lot of times, Kevin, during the season about, is a guy playing too many games? And this would be far different than what most of the smart goalie guys would tell you. Say, hey, we want our guy playing about, 60 games?
Right.
Played 73. And then into the playoffs and into the second round and was terrific. So he's one of those guys that has shown that even with a heavy workload, he still comes to the rink night after night and helps you win.
Yeah, and the great thing about Cam is he's such an easy personality and easy in the net. Guys root for him. Guys want to play in front of him. And I'm going to make this point. Connor McDavid, we know Connor McDavid, but without Cam Talbot last year as well, last season doesn't happen.
Probably not.
Congrats to him.
Why he had to play so many games
Absolutely.
to get them back into the playoffs.
For sure.
Checks in at number 6, and this is kind of where this countdown gets interesting and certainly debatable. He missed 59 games last year. You heard it in that montage package. The Kings, they aren't the Kings without Jonathan Quick. They proved that last season. Jonathan Quick at number 6. He is a top 10 goalie right now. Why is he there in your mind?
Well, I can go on and on about why he's there in my mind because he has so many unique intangibles and skill sets in his game. Quite frankly, Jonathan Quick is able to physically do things that no other goalie on the planet can do and do them consistently. When I watch his game, he has some of the butterfly technique and instincts of the great Tony Esposito, the great Dominik Hasek, and as he told me, his favorite goalie, Mike Richter, in terms of the athleticism and how dynamic Richter was. When you're kind of a blend of all three of those guys, you're doing okay. I would say doing okay each.
Yeah, I'd say you're doing more than okay.
Right? But he's a money goalie. That's the big thing that I like about him. The bigger the game, the tighter the spot, the more he's able to get in there. Now watch the body. Look at the flexibility. Look at the strength, the athleticism, and he's just making it rain out there in LA. One of the great U.S.-born goaltenders that will go down in the history of our game. Although we've had several, he continues to ascend up the ranks, and he will ultimately, I think, be the best goalie that ever played for the LA Kings, with all due respect to Mr. Rogie Vachon as well. So Jonathan Quick, for me, is a treat to watch. He's so competitive, but he does it in a team-friendly way. And he's the type of guy, as we were just talking about off camera, where he feels like he's not at his best. You say, boys, sorry about that.
He doesn't throw his teammates
I gotta be better, guys.
under the bus. He thinks he can have every shot.
For sure.
And that's, as you know from playing that position, that's important with the team dynamic.
Big time.
Because when the goaltender is given that stare down to his teammates, that can start to wear the teammates out. All of a sudden, the teammates aren't as interested in maybe playing.
That's right.
Not as hard maybe night after night. You know, you lived it, and you've seen it with other goalies.
Oh, yeah.
I would say this. My only concern about Jonathan Quick, because we already know his record, you've laid it out very beautifully, Kevin, is because of the way he plays, there's going to be a tendency to be concerned about injury. We saw it last year. He missed most of the season. Hopefully he is going to be healthy and going to be back playing and be that guy that we've known in the past. But that would be my concern for Jonathan Quick. When we did this list at this time last year, he was number 3. He's at number 6, largely because of the injury that he missed most of last season. If he stays healthy, I have no problem with him being number 6. Heck, he could be a lot higher.
Sure.
But I am worried because of the way he plays and the way that he's, as you pointed out, just all over the place, and he's so athletic. That does lead to an injury possibility. So that's my concern, the only concern really I have with Jonathan Quick.
You know you're a good goaltender when you only play 17 games and you still crack our top 10 goalies right now. That was Jonathan Quick. Up next, Devan Dubnyk. And what a season Minnesota had, and large part of that was the success of this guy between the pipes.
Yeah, Dubnyk had a really good majority of the year, I would say. And listen, since he's come to Minnesota, he's been a great fit for them. They've been a great fit for him. Not too long ago, 2.5 years ago, he was down the American League, really. So to rebuild himself or rebuild his career, I got to give him tons of credit. I also have to give their goalie coach, goalie Bob Mason, a lot of credit working with him as well. And Sean Burke during his short time
in Arizona.
Absolutely. That was a huge reset for him.
Yes, it was.
And you see the personal ranks last year. I mean, those kind of speak for themselves. The biggest thing for Devan Dubnyk now and his Minnesota Wild teammates is to be able to deliver for those great fans in the land of 10,000 lakes, guys, to be able to go deeper in the Stanley Cup playoffs. They had an outstanding regular season last year. Best regular season team we've seen in Minnesota yet. But that's got to translate into the playoffs each.
You know what I would say about Devan Dubnyk? I think personally he's a little high on this list. I wouldn't have him at number 5. And it's really because of the fact that I haven't seen it over the course of an entire season and into the playoffs. We talked earlier about Cam Talbot, played 73 games and then led his team into the second round of the playoffs. There wasn't a lot of drop-off in his play.
Exactly.
In the first half of last season, Devan Dubnyk was about the best goalie in this league. He was unbelievable. But as the year wore on, Devan Dubnyk wore down a little bit. And I think you go back to a couple of years ago when he first came to Minnesota. He had a really good second half of the season after that trade. I don't know if I've ever seen Devan Dubnyk put those two halves together and have that elite season and then be that same guy in the postseason. So I'm a little bit worried about the durability over the course of a year. And if I was Chuck Fletcher and I look at that situation, I love having Devan Dubnyk as my 1. But I would want to make sure I have a stronger number 2 there. I think Devan Dubnyk is a guy that's going to excel playing maybe 55 to 60 games in a regular season and not having to try to play him night after night after night. Because to me, when I look at it, what I've seen, he does tend to wear down.
Yeah, and as a big, tall goalie, too, that's a lot on the body.
Yeah, exactly. It's no knock.
Yeah,
it's just
totally.
reality.
I hear you there.
936 save percentage pre-All-Star game, 904 save percentage after it.
There it is.
Devan Dubnyk checking in at number 5. Debate about number 4. Matt Murray, the only player in NHL history to win the Stanley Cup twice as a rookie. That's impressive for a goaltender.
Well, think of all the great goalies that have played in our league that came before us. I mean, Ken Dryden, Patrick Law, Grant Fuhr, Dominic Hasek, Marty Brodeur. I can go on and on. Curtis Joseph, there's so many. Mike Richter. We could go on and on forever. But what Matt Murray's been able to do, guys, this guy burned up the OHL. I remember talking to Sheldon Keefe, who coached him in Sault Ste. Marie at the time. Yeah. Then he goes to the American League, shreds up the American League. Okay, talk to the guys in Pittsburgh. What's going on with this Murray guy? I'll wait till you see him, Weeksy. I talked to one player of the Pittsburgh Penguins who now departed them this offseason. And I said, listen, give it to me straight. I want you to give it to me straight. Because to me, I think Marc-Andre Fleury still has a chance to become a Hall of Fame guy just based on his resume. Tell me about Matt Murray. We see this guy is just, he just has it.
Yeah.
He just has it. He just has that swag about himself. He knows he's that good. He's that good. And that's from a very well-respected player that won the Stanley Cup with Pittsburgh the last couple of years. So that says a lot to me. That really does. I'm really impressed. He's same thing. He doesn't chase the game around.
Yeah, no.
He's very calm in the net. He'll make you make the first mistake and make the first move, typically before he will.
Well, we go back to the Stanley Cup final last year. It's tied going back to Pittsburgh. They played great in Game 5. They win easy. Shutout for Matt Murray. Game 6, a little bit tougher. Got a good break in that game with a call that went his way. But he had a shutout in Game 6 as well. Back-to-back shutouts to wrap up a Stanley Cup. I would say this about Matt Murray. Why isn't he higher on this list? Why is it? And you know what? Why aren't we talking about Matt Murray as maybe being number 1?
Only
He's
reason
won 2 straight Stanley
Depends on your
Cup.
definition of right now, I guess,
Only reason
right?
I'd say is your point on Dubnyk. Now we just got to see it for the whole year now that the net's his.
Yeah.
And there's no Marc-Andre Fleury behind you. And now we know this guy has a pedigree.
Yeah.
But it's interesting.
You
that
do
would be
want
my
to
only
see.
thing.
You do want to see over the course of time because he's been nicked up.
He's been nicked up.
He's had some injury issues over these 2 seasons. But the reality to me is simple.
Yeah.
His name is on the Stanley Cup twice already, and he's not even 25 years old yet.
I get that.
So
totally
for me,
get
when
that.
we're making a list, we better start considering Matt Murray maybe a lot higher than number 4 because we haven't seen this before, right?
No, it's historic.
Led the NHL in save percentage, 934, and coming off the Vezina, second of his career. Sergei Bobrovsky at number 3.
Sergei Bobrovsky's been incredible, and the biggest thing for him is his health. The fact that he was able to get his health back under control, specifically some of his groin injuries. But he is one of the most fun goalies to watch as well. This is him in the offseason in Austria, working on his game, training there both on and off the ice. This is after he won the Vezina each.
Yep.
He's there putting in work. One of the best, for me, perhaps the best goalie along with Quick at the down low plays.
Oh,
Goal line, post to post down low, beneath the goal line, slightly above. Now watch, he's parallel to the goal line, but great job tracking over the shoulder to the left, then over the blocker side to the right, and right out in front on Pageau, push forward, take away the net. Man, oh man, he doesn't have very many holes in his game because what could be open nets on some other guys each, he's able to just take them away.
Yeah, he gets there. You can see how he's able to stretch out those pads and do that split. Probably like no one. I guess Jonathan Quick is the only guy that you would say he's similar to, but boy, he is just lightning quick around that crease.
No doubt. Look at that reaction time. He was facing the front of the net. He's able to go diagonal down to the glove side in a full split, basically, and unbelievable strength against a post. 2 Vezina trophies for him now. The biggest thing that him and the Blue Jackets are in pursuit of course, is the Stanley Cup. But this is a team that's trending in the right direction. John Tortorella had the chance to coach a great Nikolai Khabibulin. He now has that opportunity with Sergei Bobrovsky as well. I'm interested to see this year, with last year behind them and the strength and the confidence that they got from last year, how they can go even deeper in the Stanley Cup playoffs perhaps, because this team has a lot of nice pieces.
Comes in at number 2 this year. He led the league with 9 shutouts this past season. What is it about Braden Holtby's game that impresses you the most?
I think it's his mental game. Braden Holtby's always really dialed in mentally. And when you are one of 3 goalies drafted by the Washington Capitals, him, Neuvirth, and Varlamov, this guy's emerged to be the best one. And Varlamov's already won a Vezina as well, to his credit, who's also an outstanding goalie when he's healthy. But Braden Holtby, he's really complete. He handles the puck. He's technical, but he's not too locked up when he's at his best. He can still react to pucks, catch pucks with his glove, active blocker, really quick feet. I mean, it's really difficult to replace franchise goalies, guys. And when you had a guy like Ole Kolzig for so long in Washington that was that good, they found their guy in Braden Holtby.
It's funny. He has a presence to me in the crease, and I saw it right away. The first time I ever saw him play was on a call-up to the Caps in the 2010-2011 series against the Carolina Hurricanes in Washington, and I was up in the press box, and even from that distance, you're like, something about this guy. He had a presence in the net, and he has really taken his game to another level over the last several years. Clearly, he is in that group of a top handful of goalies. You know, really, I don't know if he's number 2 coming off his last year. Maybe he's 3, maybe he's 4. I could bring Matt Murray back in the discussion. Sure. Matt Murray's beaten him in 2 playoff series. But you can't really argue that Braden Holtby is one of the very, very best goalies in this league.
Yeah, there's just no holes. He doesn't have any real weaknesses to his game. And for the most part, he's been awesome in the playoffs as well, for the most part in his career. So I'm a big fan of his game. And listen, that's a lot of pressure playing there in D.C.
No question.
Because everything is the expectation for them to win the Cup with Ovi and the rest of it. So overall, this is a guy that you root for, and this is a guy that's worked exceptionally hard to get to where he is. I believe 70th pick overall. Not too bad.
Happy for Habs fans. They'll have him for the next lengthy amount of time, signing that 8-year, $84 million extension, but coming in at number 1 on our top 10 goalies right now.
I don't think that you can question Carey Price. Listen, a lot of people, goalies included, let alone agents, coaches, goalie coaches, they're scouring GMs. They're scouring the world trying to find the next Carey Price. It's very difficult to do that. And this is a guy that his dad used to fly him on a float plane to games. But I don't know if this is Mozart. I'm not sure if it's Tchaikovsky. But I do know that it's Carey Price. And it's so elegant and so smooth because that's the way he plays. He plays at a tempo that is so much smoother than everybody else, and that inspires so much confidence in his team and takes away the will of the opposition, because not only is he technically perfect, but he's also poetic. And now with their goalie coach, Stefan Waite, going there the last few years, he's even more reactive in the net. Eej, we like to talk about World Juniors, that epic shootout win for Team Canada against Team USA.
Way back when.
And he was a stud in that shootout. And here's the thing for me. When you look at the Mount Rushmore of the greats that have played in Montreal, Carey Price has earned his place among them, and he continues to ascend among the greats in Habs history.
You know, the thing for me about Carey Price, again, he's a guy with presence, but I would say even more so, in different eras of hockey, I've been around to watch a couple of them now, Dominik Hasek was that guy. Because in that other locker room, teams were talking about, how are we going to score on Dominik Hasek? And he was worth a goal just because of who he was.
Psychological value. Totally.
Carey Price, over the last couple of years, I find, is kind of the same guy now. He is the guy that in that other dressing room, people are thinking about it, scheming about, more so than any other goalie that I can think of now playing the game. He's an intimidating goaltender, and there are just not that many of them. They're great goalies, but people always figure they're going to find ways to score. With Carey Price, you start to question yourself, and that is why he is number one. He'd be number one on my list. He's number one on this list.